So what is it about my conglomeration of words here and expressions in Asrianox and you name it? I'm not verbatim quoting Derrida. I'm not verbatim quoting Wittgenstein. I'm not doing so. I'm not reiterating it. My face looks different. My voice sounds different than theirs. We could synthesize voices so that they did sound standardized. And but the thing is everybody's what everybody draws from the world and the data and has an inherited language in which to at least formulate rational, reasonable, understandable sentences unrational, instead of unrational, unreasonable, correct, unjustified grammars. But nevertheless, everyone has these different groupings. Rational speakers do that are conveying information have expression, and they're drawing on different backgrounds and different focal points that they're extracting from the text that they read to make argument from. And so doesn't the mere fact that we all have differing and ever differing expressions, doesn't that argue for subjectivity? Doesn't that put subjectivity in the court that hey, everybody's expression is innately going to be different than anybody else's expression? So therefore, this is a reflection of that person's mind. And in that respect, I'll say, yeah, why not? That is reflective of that person's personality, that person's being. But do I have to reduce it to that person's mind? No, but will I? Sure. The reason I won't is because the primary grammatical principles, by being what I would say, or the sentence, he's an English speaker, the mere fact that that sentence makes sense has implications because that English speaker means that they have a primary basis of what it is to speak English. At least, not Old English or Middle English, but English, or English right now. And so there's a living group of individuals right now and in the future. If there's a natural evolution from pre-linguistic being to linguistic being. There's a natural evolution to stack things, but would I say that there is no common ground, no primary ground? That would be to say there's no primary grammar. Because once again, the language is public, it's justified publicly. Our primary grammar, our primary ability to ration and reason and convey this information is due to this primacy of grammar. So one could say that there is a source in which all of our primary grammars come from. Now this would lead into well, but before I go there, let me finish this. Just because there are multitudes of individuals doesn't mean that it justifies there being multitudes of minds and differing minds, but it doesn't negate the primacy of the grammar shared, which is to say we speak language. Oh, really? What language? But the subjective argument as it wars against the objective uh, objectivist who is trying to stick to and only to the naturalism of what it was for us to acquire this primacy of grammar. This is what the objectivists would like us to stick to. The subjectivists, the war begins where the subjectivist now does not. They want to be noted for their personal expression, their personal imagination, and the difference between them and this grammar. Okay, that's really what they want. And so when it's argued as to whether or not they share a primary grammar, the mistake the subjectivist has is to argue that the ground itself is not common. that there is no public display of grammar rules that one can all believe upon. And now language shifts and it adjusts and paradigms shift and people add new words all the time and subtract words. So it's within its flux. But the idea that there is nothing shared and that we can't point to the ground and agree upon it is by itself, by the grammar that points to grounds, we share that grammar. But the subjectivists on the outside would like to keep expressing, because they're expressing in text, but they're not trying to be dynamic with the expression, they're just trying to lay the track down. Now, the laying of an expression down, not necessarily being analytical, all they're trying to do is throw in new data, new frequency, new vibrations, new considerations between what one senses is a natural expression of what it is they learned as the grammar that they've entrusted from their parents or whoever brought them into the language, and their schooling and the witnessing of the verification of what it is to speak language amongst a large community, nation, or world of what we call English speakers who verify this. The subjectivist means is to disrupt another person's perception of what it is to naturally acquire language. So they might fit in, oh, that's not red, that's orange red. Or they might say, you know, that object isn't here, it's over here. Or they might point to the grammar that is the grammar that I'm arguing is the primacy of the ground that's generalized through base triangulation and natural recognition of public agreement that we're referencing the same object through demonstrative processes. They might want to deny that because I myself am subject to the rules of the grammar. So as long as their expression can get in there and subjugate the naturalism as I understand myself, then I can confuse my identity. I can confuse my placement or my orientation to the language. And I can kick into a different headspace. I can go cross-eyed in the mind, so to speak. And this, people live in this all the time. The youth live in this all the time. But the whole idea is to abrogate the very medium of the language, because in the separation from my death or my artifact's death to your interpretation of it, it doesn't really matter whether or not I feel naturalized or whether or not I distort my naturalism and pollute it so that my expression from my body is a reflection from a body that is now has pollution in it, or one that is not standardized. Like Mr. Cropper often rotates back and forth, moves up and down, and makes these very base movements. He's not very shebangy wangy dang ding ding ding, because he doesn't want to abrogate the grammar that he's trying to standardize to point to that which is common. Anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out. Maybe I even got one more of these videos in me.